always love to hear from you. Send us your views, comments, and videos with your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV. It just gets better.
Good day, students and teachers. We start today with 2.3 in your syllabus. 2.3 you will see is about financial institutions. Very relevant because we work every day with it. We see it around us every day. Okay, so firstly we will look at the need for exchange. And then we will look at functions and qualities and types of money. And then we will look at exchange rates, how to define it, how to calculate it, and how it influences the economy if it is fluctuating. Okay, now the need for exchange is many years ago, when there was no money involved, and there was no money that you can give to get the good and service that you want. But in that time, they have used a system which is called barter. So you had to give a sheep if you want from somebody, say, maize or seeds for plants that you want, vegetables that you want to plant. So with barter, there is a lot of problems that occur. And the first problem, which they called coincidence, is that you must look for a person that wants the product that you offer and also have the product that you want. So that becomes very time consuming. And it's not easy. And then there is also, when barter is involved, there's also lots of arguments involved. Is what is the value of your sheep in comparison to my maize that I gave you? How many bags of maize must I give you for one sheep? Is it 10? Is it 12? Is it 50? So you will perhaps say 15 and I will say 12. So that is a problem with barter. Now, if we look at money, it is important for you to realize that money must have certain functions. Otherwise, we can't see it as money. So firstly, they say money must be a medium of exchange. So if you give me this sheep, I can give you in return money. Now what is good about this money is that you can use it whenever you want to use it. And then the second point, what is good, is that you can divide the money. And where you couldn't, if you pay me with cattle, you can't divide a cow. And that is a problem. Okay. Then it must be a unit of account, money, or a measure of value. So you will tell me, at today's rates, publish on the internet, a cow that weighs 500 kilos is worth $8,000. You put a value to that cow. It is exact. And that is money measurement. Money gives you that function that you can put a value to your goods and services that you offer. Then the next function of money is that it must have a store value. So if you give me the sheep and I give you the money for that sheep, what can you do with it? You can save it somewhere and only use parts of it. Nothing will happen to that money. You can save it at home, you can save it in the bank. It will still be usable a long time after that, because it don't damage easily, it don't tear easily, it don't rust. That is qualities. You can store it. But if I gave you the sheep, or you gave me the sheep and I gave you tomatoes, you will see that to pay for it, that will not have the store value, because it can only last a few months, not years and years, like money. Then the last function of money is that money must be a standard of deferred payment. What that means is that I can get the product you put on the market and that you put on the market for selling to whoever is interested. I can get it, but I can pay over, say, 6 months for that product. I sign an agreement, a contract, that I will pay over 6 months with interest. And what happened then is that I can get the product already to use. And this is a benefit that money also gives you, a function of money that barter couldn't give you. Okay, so the next point that we look at is the characteristics of money. Money must have certain qualities, they sometimes call it qualities or characteristics of money, and that it must be divisible. That means you must be able to divide it in smaller units. So if I tell you this product costs $275, you can give me a $200, you can give me a $50, you can give me a 20 and a 5, and together it will be a total of 275. If money wasn't divisible and I just gave you $300 and say, I can't, there isn't a smaller unit of that, you see, then it would really be a problem. Okay, it must be acceptable by everyone in the country. It only is acceptable if it has a value. And if the government says it's money, the government accepts it as our currency. And we accept it as our currency because it has a value to it. So you can look at other countries like Angola at the moment and Zimbabwe, their own currencies don't have this quality because the value of that currencies have dropped by so much. Okay, the next point, it must be portable. That means you must be able to put it in a wallet or in your pocket and in your handbag and walk to the shop and pay for what you want. They say after the Second World War in Germany, you had to fill up a whole wheelbarrow to pay for bread. That is only a story. I don't know if it is really true, but it just means that the value of their currency after the Second World War was very little, so they have to give a lot of notes or coins to get one bread. Then they also look at the characteristics or characteristic as homogeneous, and this characteristic is that it is not easy to counterfeit currencies like our paper money or our coins. It's very difficult to do it. People try to do it, but then it is not very long, and they will find that this is not feeling the same as the normal notes. It don't have the same thickness, it is not the same type of paper, there is certain characteristics that is not like a watermark, not in this notes. So if money have that characteristic, then that you can't duplicate it easy, then it helps as a characteristic and that it is really worth as money. Okay, and then the last point, money must be limited in supply. Only if it is limited in supply, it will have a value. And that's why, or a very important task of our central bank, to make sure that there is not too much money in circulation. Because if there's too much money in circulation, it causes inflation. And if there's inflation, the value of our currency decreases.
Always love to hear from you. Send us your views, comments, and videos with your name and town to the One Africa TV's WhatsApp on 081 200 6659 or send an SMS to 555. One Africa TV, it just gets better.
Now we look at three types of money. Now, when money started after barter, they say it started originally in West Turkey, in a part which they call Lydia. At that time, they just took pure gold and they'd made a coin of that. And that was the first type of coins. They say that type of money, which is made of pure gold or silver or copper or whichever, that is commodity money. Commodity money is the coin itself have a value because of the metal or it is made of. Okay, then we got, after that, representative money. Now, representative money is also made of paper that is worthless. But at that time, many years ago, I could go to the bank and hand in this paper and they will give me real gold. So that paper represents gold, for example. And it means that you can get gold if you want to. But nowadays, our money is not backed up by gold or diamonds or whatever it is. So you can't take your 200 note and say, I want gold for this, because it's not backed up by that. And the money we use nowadays, that is not backed up by, for example, gold, is fiat money. Now, this money is also made of coins, metal, and paper for the notes. But these coins, the metal it is made of, have no correlation to the value of that coin. It don't mean it's worth, the metal is worth 50 cents. That 50-cent coin is made of. And so for the paper also don't mean it is worth 200, which is the the value of that note. So this fiat money that we are using is legal money because the government say it is legal. That is the important point. They say it's not backed up by any commodity. And then the last point is it is influenced by demand and supply. The more there is a demand for it, the higher the price of this money. You can make a small note on the side. The price of money is the interest rate we pay for it, or what we receive for money. So the higher the demand, the higher the price or the interest rate of money will be. Okay, so this is types of money: commodity money, representative money, and fiat money. Okay. Now for the last point in this PowerPoint and this lesson of today, we look at the exchange rates of a country. Now for a definition, which they can teach you on, it is normally good for you to look at the marks allocated to a question. So if the marks say 3 marks, then you know it is preferable that you also put an example to your answer. A definition for exchange rate is that the price of one currency, for example, the Namibian dollar, is expressed in terms of another currency. Say, for example, the US dollar. So all other people just say it's the price of one currency in terms of another currency, and then they say 1 US dollar is equal to 16 Namibian dollars. Okay, there's a small calculation classwork question that you can work together and see if you come to the answer. The answer is also provided there for you, the calculation. I ask you calculate the amount of Namibian dollars that you need to pay for a part of your Volkswagen car that you can't get in Namibia and you must now import from Germany, from the Volkswagen factory, and that part costs 500 euros. So my question to you is, how much Namibian dollars must you offer to pay or to get 500 euros so that you can pay the company in euros for it? It is very important that you realize that if you buy from Germany, that you must pay them in their own currency. So if I buy from Britain, I must pay them in pounds. So how will I pay them in pounds? I must offer Namibian dollars on the money market, get pounds, and then pay them. So for Germany, I offer Namibian dollars, and that is the question I ask you. How many Namibian dollars must you offer on the money market to get euros? And then you use that euros to pay them. So that is important that you realize. You can't buy from Japan and pay in Namibian dollars, that company from which you bought the watch. You must pay them in yen. Okay, then you must realize that exchange rates can be all fluctuating, or they call them floating exchange rates. They are just influenced by demand and supply. So the more the demand is for a currency, the higher the value of this exchange rate. The more that if supply is more than the demand, the lower the value of this exchange rate. And then we also get another type of exchange rate, and that is a fixed exchange rate. So immediately, if you see what floating is, and now I said some countries also using a fixed exchange rate. This is predominantly, entirely sometimes, controlled by a government. through their central bank. Sometimes they also peg exchange rate. Then they not allow the exchange rate to go, say, higher than 20, but also not lower than 4. So they keep them then in a certain range. Some countries also do that. Okay, and I can ask you also questions of why exchange rates in a country change, and you can tell me one reason can be if interest rates change. Because if interest rates increase, then people from other countries will say, that's a good country to save and invest in. So I will save my money there because I get high interest. If I save it in Britain, I can only get 1%. But if I save it here, I can get 12%. So that may be reasons why they demand our currency, that they can save it here. Another reason may be if our exports get more than our imports. Because if we export a lot, then that countries to whom we export will demand our currency. And if they demand our currency, it will help that the value of our currency increase because the demand get higher than the supply. Another reason is political and economic instability or changes can cause that exchange rates decrease, because investors will say, no, this country is not economically stable, or this country is not politically stable, we will withdraw our money. So what they are doing, they offer lots of Namibian dollars on the market so that they can get their own currency and take it out of the country. And then the last one, which caused that exchange rates change in our country, can be inflation. Because people will say, no, I normally buy from Namibian meat. But because the price of meat have increased, so I will rather buy from Botswana, where the price is cheaper. So you see, then the demand for our currency decreased. And you remember I have said that the demand and the supply influence the value of the currency and the value of the exchange rate. Okay, then you will also see there's a short question on the exchange rate. And then an important note, which I want to emphasize. If the demand is for a currency is more than the supply, the value of that currency increase. That means that you don't have to offer so many Namibian dollars as you have offered in the past. So say, for example, you previously offered 19 Namibian dollars for a pound. If the value of your currency increase, of the Namibian currency, you can also only offer 17 now. Another word for this is, which they sometimes use, they say the currency appreciate. So remember that, that's the same meaning. The opposite is true. If supply is more than demand, then the currency value drop, and then they call it that it depreciate. I've also give you examples here on the next slide on classwork you can do. And here I said you must use a section in the newspaper. I've also give you there a slide of a section that you can get, that I got on the internet, but you get it in newspapers on the exchange rate, and then you can answer the following questions for homework mark. Okay, and then there's also homework which you must can do, and which will help you to make sure that you understand the work that was covered in the previous PowerPoint and in this PowerPoint. And then I have lastly offered to you another 4 exam or test questions, which you will find also all these questions with their answers in a booklet that we will supply to you.
On the Gold Coast of West Africa lies the peaceful and diverse nation of Ghana. I'm pretty close right now to the geographical center of the Earth. It is also one of the last pockets for elephants in the wilds of West Africa.
Every country in the world just about has cattle, sheep, goats, horses, donkeys, but it's only Africa that has the real megafauna, the charismatic stuff which people in the rest of the world want to see.
The passion that the staff have for the job.
There's value to a bird which brings birders to a place like this. I mean, this is a birding paradise. We see an intrinsic appreciation and joy from seeing the wildlife out here, but not everybody does.
You can't get to Moli and then will not be passionate about what we do, because you'll be the only one left. Everybody is passionate.
The only worthwhile war, the war against destruction, the war against loss, the war for peace, for balance, for inclusion.
Just out of my way, buffaloes, elephants, duikers, atebis are still in existence.
If money fails, then Ghana is without wildlife.
Join me as we journey to the untamed wilderness of northern Ghana to meet these last defenders.
The people within the law enforcement agencies don't really know you're talking about a roan antelope. Somebody thinks it's just like a goat.
One day we went to I think it's the opening of Oshakati Stadium. Then I was a lead singer there. Then this DJ Remind came to me. I was like, "Hi, don't you want to be a solo artist?" I said, "What is solo?"
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is DJ Siam Bramasgrim Kwampiri Perez Kabuka Pleasure Return from the Mighty List Region.
Happy Friday, what's up? It's Friday, happy Friday.
Abdallah is joining us in the hot seat.
She said